What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning OLEKSANDR USYK. Get this. OLEKSANDR USYK on fighting JOYCE. OLEKSANDR USYK, after his win against Anthony Joshua last month, during the interview, USYK discussed a potential bout with Fury, but the new WBO interim champion, JOYCE. And on Twitter, he stated, "You invited JOYCE to come to Kiev and have a fight at the Olympic Stadium. Are you ready to fight against JOYCE?" OLEKSANDR USYK said, "I can probably do it, but only after Tyson Fury." Let me counterpunch. We all know that JOYCE was beaten by a couple guys in the Olympics. And Anthony Joshua, OLEKSANDR USYK, you know, he was knocked out by Felix Savon. No, he wasn't. He was knocked out a couple times, okay? And the pros, you know, of course, he is this solid juggernaut. And a lot of people think at this point, at his size, based on what he did with a totally different fighter, he will walk through OLEKSANDR USYK. USYK is not favored to win that fight. And let me counterpunch. The fact and the idea that USYK is welcoming a fight for JOYCE to come to the Ukraine, Kiev, to take on a fight is saying a lot. You know, it's saying that, hey, I will give you the opportunity for all those belts, because after all, if you have one belt, it's like beating and you win for one belt. It's like winning them all because one guy has 3 or 4. Right? So that's how it goes. So if JOYCE could beat OLEKSANDR USYK, he could have all 4 of those belts, including the Ring magazine. Right? And OLEKSANDR USYK inviting him says a lot about OLEKSANDR USYK. Inviting him for a fight, you know, those guys are familiar with each other. You know, if you know anything about the amateurs, you know that was a dynamic fight. And OLEKSANDR USYK not only proved that he could bang, he also proved that he was tough. He proved that he could go toe-to-toe with somebody a lot bigger than him. You know, and you could tell from the size of JOYCE. You know, JOYCE is a big guy. And I don't care what people say. I don't think Tyson Fury is actually 6'9". Okay, because JOYCE looks like, if you look at JOYCE and Tyson Fury, they're the same size. But you definitely could see the size difference between JOYCE and OLEKSANDR USYK. But then, you know, despite the size difference, we've seen OLEKSANDR USYK take it to JOYCE. Okay, so JOYCE would invite him to that, but only after fighting Tyson Fury. So he still has his priorities in a row, you know, and I think this is a good call out, actually. You know, a good invitation for JOYCE to, first of all, avenge his amateur loss and to get a hold of that belt, okay? And I think on the WBO stance, I think JOYCE is a very, very good fighter, and I think he'll give any fighter hell, you know, including OLEKSANDR USYK. But do I think he's going to beat USYK? No, I don't. But anything's possible when you come through, or when you come to the heavyweight division, okay? And I feel that JOYCE is on a high right now. You know, he's glowing, he's growing, and I think he's going, okay? I think he's a guy that, you know, will give people problems and everybody's talking about right now. So I think it's the perfect time for OLEKSANDR USYK to, you know, bring him up, because everyone's talking about the winners. And who are the winners? Recently, JOYCE, and before that, OLEKSANDR USYK, when he once again defeated Anthony Joshua, okay, to defend his unified titles on top of obtaining the Ring magazine belt. So you guys tell me what you think of OLEKSANDR USYK inviting JOYCE to Kiev, possibly, but only after he fights Tyson Fury. Just to clear things up, if I was JOYCE, I would want to be somewhere else. I wouldn't want to be in Kiev right now. I know they had basketball games and all that right now. I wouldn't want to be there, especially in times of war, where Russia is not, you know, promised not to attack at that particular event. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't do that if I was JOYCE. I would want that fight, but other than the Ukraine. But anyway, again, you guys tell me what you think. Please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.